So for the first time in a few weeks, we'll be talking baseball on here as the offseason officially is here. On that note as well, free agency begun around the 5 o'clock hour today. Not many major moves, just some re-signings. I know that Clayton Kershaw, I think, just re-signed with the Dodgers. Not really surprised there, as he probably wants to finish his career there. Edwin Diaz obviously re-signed with the Mets a few days ago. G-Man Choi was traded to the Pirates. Shoutouts to Jets Mess. What's going on, man? I'm pretty sure he's going and commenting on both channels. But we appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all. Tonight, obviously, we got this show. It's gonna be a packed show, so please stay in, ask questions, do whatever. Tomorrow night on the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel, Luke will be covering for me. Donald, and maybe even Angry John will be doing the Knicks Pistons game. Saturday's the Big Blue in the Bronx podcast. It is the preview for the Texans game. Obviously, Giants football is back after the bye week. And just a lot of fun stuff, a lot of good stuff. Sox, man, how have you been so far?
Doing well. You know, the bye week is always tough as a Giants fan, as any fan. You know, you don't get to see your team play for a couple weeks. But I think it came at a good time after that loss to Seattle. So got to bounce back, cannot lose to Houston. It's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be close, as you mentioned, I think, last week. But I'm doing well. You know, free agency starting. We're going to see what happens with our star players. We both have some interest in this free agency. So let's see how it goes, man.
All right. So shouts to Shane. He says, I'm a Taiwan Sox fan. Support signing Senga Kodai, if that's how I'm pronouncing it. But appreciate you coming in, Shane. Definitely hit that like button. Definitely comment a lot more. Obviously, we're welcoming a lot of comments with the whole baseball discussion. We could either end the show or even start the show with our picks. But I do want to gauge one of your thoughts on these things. We've been talking about it for a little while now. Well, let's start off with first thoughts coming off of the season. What your just thoughts coming off the season, and also heading into free agency, what you hope and what you think the Red Sox are going to accomplish. I'll do my Yankees afterwards, but I'll let you go, Sox.
Yeah, so, I mean, the playoffs were kind of a bust for me. Like, obviously missing the playoffs as a Sox fan is always tough. The AL East been getting more competitive, it feels like, the last few years, and obviously the best division in baseball, at least in my opinion, others as well. Going into the offseason, and pitching was tough this year. That was obvious. It's obvious that we got to rebuild most of that staff. But going into the offseason is obviously Rafael Devers and Xander Boagerts. We're going to see where the pieces fall around the league, but I think it's important to re-sign both of those guys. A lot of Sox fans agree. It's just you want those guys to be the cornerstone over there, and first base is important as well. So we're going to see if we can lock down some positions that haven't been locked down in a while, second base included. You know, since Pedroia got hurt, it's been tough. They haven't had a solid second baseman. So there's a lot of moving parts. We're going to see where pieces fall. I'm excited.
So I'll talk about my Yankees first. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty done with the organization. I mean, I've been kind of done, in my words, for a little while now with them. The excuses and all that other stuff, that's a whole different subject. But things for the Yankees to accomplish this offseason, it's obvious they're not going to fire the general manager. They're not going to fire the manager in Aaron Boone. These last few days, I've been getting a lot of these fucking bots, and it's really pissing me off.
Bots, man.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, back to my thing, my PG thing. PG maybe if I'm not cursing. Anyway, it's obvious they're not going to fire Boone or Cashman. I am pushing for Pete of NYY News TV to bring out some Fire Cashman, Fire Boone shirts. And we're actually thinking of him sending me some shirts where I go out to the Bronx or Manhattan and I hand them out and basically ask, like, because you obviously get the vibe, or at least different people get the vibe on Twitter, of the Yankee fan base, right? They're all the hype trains and all these different things. They're more the millennial type, but you don't really hear from the old school fans. That's more the gauge I think we want to get, and me personally, because, you know, most of the older generation, I guess you would agree, Sox as well, most of the older generation is just stuck to sports talk radio. And that's what we're really trying to get those guys alike into our opinions and just, transferring onto the podcast platforms and stuff like that. But
Right.
I came up with the idea last night before I go into, some of the needs for the off season, is that I go out with a couple of t-shirts to Bronx or whatever. I say, hey, are you a Yankees fan? They say, yes. And what are your thoughts on Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone coming back? Thoughts coming in the next season. So I thought that'd be really cool, growing the whole product of NYY News TV. Pete's done a great job so far with it. We're almost a year officially into it. At the same time, he's brought on a couple of different new shows and obviously some prospect coverage as well. So, look for that in the off season from NYY News TV, the company I am a part of. As for needs for the Yankees, it looks like that shortstop is really not going to be a need. However they go with it. I don't expect a Correa signing. I would love a Correa signing. It's just not going to happen. Trey Turner is also an option. Xander Boagerts. I mean, that would be steal of the century from a rival, but at the same time, we know how that's gone in the last few years, right? I mean, Andrew Miller was okay. Jacoby Ellsbury was obviously, very bad in the Yankees uniform. He was never on the field. So, maybe because of aura, they would want to stay away from that. But I just don't expect shortstop to be a major position where they go out and, try to search for one. They definitely need to have an answer in right field, whatever it is. Aaron Judge, they need to get his contract extension done. They obviously extended the qualifying offer for him and Anthony Rizzo, which I'll talk about in a second. But even if you're not re-signing Judge, you got to find some sort of an option. You can't stick Hicks out there again. The right field free agent market isn't very good. We're going to go over that with predictions and all these sorts of things. You also need a left fielder. Bader's in center field. He was a really good pickup at the trade deadline for Jordan Montgomery. So it has to be Benintendi. And if you don't have an option, you got to stick Ozzie out there, which, I don't think he could be a full-time left fielder. I think he probably is a bench player. You could rotate him all around the infield instead of Marvin Gonzalez. So there's that. There's a couple of pieces that I would try to move this offseason just for money. And I think that's what the Yankees are going to try to do. They're going to try to move a guy like Gleyber Torres and maybe some other guys as well. Catching position, I think they could stay firm on. And, if they got to have a backup plan for Anthony Rizzo, in my opinion. First base is definitely going to be something to talk about because he opted out. I think his pay was around 19 million this year, or it was like 16 million the option, 16, 19 million, not too much of a difference. But he is getting up there in age. There's not too many enticing options at first base, a little bit more than right field, but they have to figure it out there, or they could stick with DJ LeMahieu in terms of first base. Shouts to Cookus. Goes Yo Sox. So,
What's up, Cookus?
So let's do this vice versa real quick before we go into some other things as well. What are your thoughts from an outsider standpoint on the Yankees and anything to do for them this offseason?
As an outsider, and I pay attention to the Sox and the Sox only. I'll be honest with you. I don't really go around the league that much, but as an outsider, you got to pay attention to the division as a fan. So the Yankees are just like so talented offensively, and it just seems like we've talked about shortstop a lot this year. So you're talking about we don't know how sure we are we're going to go spend money over there. I don't know. I think they might go out and spend money, but we'll see. I think it's important to re-sign Judge. That's definitely obvious. There's a lot of talk of him going to the West Coast, so I'd like to see your thoughts on that. But re-sign Judge, definitely. I don't think the Yankees are going to win the World Series with Boone as their manager. I've been saying it for years now. So that's what sticks out to me.
Yeah. Cooker says, happy to say we got our boy Vasquez in his second ring.
Yeah.
Well, he's also a free agent this offseason, so we're definitely going to get into like predictions and stuff like that. But yeah, Christian Vasquez, I think, said he wouldn't mind coming back to the Sox. Yeah. Obviously, he was very can't say detrimental, but he played a part in the Red Sox and what their good was last year. As far as me looking at the Red Sox, I think other than you getting on track with Bogarts, obviously he declined the option. He's now a free agent. It's going to be interesting because obviously, Devers, you would like to re-sign. I think he's got one more year as a Sox. You really don't want to go into the free agent market because I just don't think that the Red Sox are going to be big spenders They don't have a backup shortstop. Jeter Downs, you've talked very low on. So there's that. Corner outfield, I mean, you got Verdugo in center field. You could have Kike, but he can also play second. So there's not really much of a solution there. I mean, you also said during the season, different points, Rob Refsnyder was actually pretty good. But is he really like a long-term option, or is he just a one-year wonder that could be a bench player? And also in the infield. So, and as I mentioned with the Judge thing, right field there's not necessarily a plethora of options in terms of free agency. And I think one of, the most important things for the Red Sox to hit on this offseason, other than Bogaerts and Devers and getting that whole mess fixed, even more than right field, is the pitching.
Yeah.
Bullpen, you've been screaming to me for the past few months, bullpen. And there's a plethora of options out there. It's just how is Chaim Bloom going to attack it? How much money is he willing to spend? Obviously, Rich Hill and Michael Walker are free agents, so you have to wonder what they're going to do to shore up that back end of the rotation, what trades they make. Based on at least what you've told me, Sox, there's not many pitching prospects in your system.
No, not a lot. And it's kind of concerning with, how you said Waka and Rich Hill, Matt Strom and Evaldi elected free agency as well on top of JD Martinez on the offensive side. But, there's going to be a lot of holes, and we're going to be a new look Red Sox next year.
Yeah, definitely. And I could see a lot of Red Sox fans already on Twitter don't have enough belief in Chaim Bloom to build up a pitching staff. What is your thoughts on that before I go to Cook's comment?
It kind of sucks that we don't have that much farm system pitching, but I don't think I have that much trust in Chaim right now either. If Xander or Rafael Devers gets out of Boston, it's going to be tough for me to jump on board. We cannot let him hit free agency, as you said, because I don't see him being big spenders, and he's going to earn his money. We'll see it next year. We saw it this year. He hits the hell out of the baseball. So I think once we get that cornerstone infield set, then we'll think about pitching. It's going to be tough.
Definitely. So Koga says he played a part as well as the postseason run in game 3 of the ALCS when he caught the no-hitter in the World Series. So, yeah, I mean, obviously Christian Vazquez, I wanted to go after him last year, but I think he opted in, or the Red Sox opted in on his contract. So I'm like, that's just not going to happen. But, Vazquez he's a good hitter. He's a solid defensive catcher. I wouldn't mind him as a, 1-2 option with Trevino, but just don't think it's going to happen. So let's see what we got first on the docket here. We got free agent predictions. Actually, let's slow ourselves up a little bit. And I did this with my brother on the Boys in the Big Apple podcast, and I also did this as well on Twin Bill. I'll start with the Red Sox first, and we'll just go down the roster really quickly. Player grades, because we really didn't discuss an ending to the season. I mean, we kind of went into the ending of the season when the season was still going on because we knew the Red Sox weren't going to make the playoffs. So I'm going to go down the roster. I'll give a player, you give a grade and a description behind it. So I'm going to start with Alex Verdugo.
Interesting. So Verdugo had a good start to the year. And are we just going A through F?
Yeah, A through F, A plus, A minus, solid A,
All right. I like Verdugo a lot, and he didn't provide much offensively this year. He hits the hell out of the baseball when he's on. He's really streaky, but defensively, he's solid out there. He can play either left field or right field. A little bit expensive coming over from the Dodgers. I like the way he played this year, minus that slump at the end of the year. I'm going to give him a C+.
Okay. Shout out to Donovan. He says, "What's up, guys? Our needs are starting pitching, right field, shortstops, third base, second base, and probably add one bullpen or two for our Yankees." Also, he's a Warriors fan, as you can see in his profile picture. Obviously, once again, we're definitely Donovan. Stay in the chat, hit that like button, subscribe. I don't think the Yankees are going to attack second base. I don't think they're going to attack third base. I think they'll stay home with shortstop. But you definitely make some good points. I would replace third base. We all know the Yankees aren't going to fucking do that. I would trade Gleyber Torres, but it's in Brian Cashman's hands. So you said C+ for Alex Verdugo. I'm going to move on to another outfielder who can also play the infield as well. The Yankees have their third base for one more year. Yes, Josh Donaldson. And for right now, at least, Brian Cashman has said that he's going to be the opening day third baseman, which is unfortunate. What's good? Judge is definitely staying. I like your confidence, Almighty. I'm not going to take that away from you. But the next player I'll go to is Kike Hernandez. He seemed to have a down year a little bit. Your thoughts on Kike?
Yeah, Kike is another guy that's just multi-talented. You don't see that kind of talent every day where he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He has directional hitting, and he can play every single position. I think he's one of the few players that has literally played 8 out of the 9 spots on the field in his career. So it just shows what he can do. He had that hip injury, I believe, and then something with his ankle. He was playing well in the beginning of the season when he first came back from that injury. Kike is going to get a B- from me.
Okay, all right. So a little bit more positive than Alex Verdugo. So Almighty says Cashman is looking at trades with other teams. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that rumor a little bit. I definitely think it's going to, because they have to open up the book somehow, whether they're signing Judge or not. Donovan says Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw are closing in on a 1-year contract. That is true. I did see that from Ken Rosenthal. So yeah, definitely. But we're going to move on to another player. An acquisition. Breaking news, Correa has signed with the Mets. Now, I will say this, everybody. Do not be phased because of this whole new Twitter thing. Sox, I don't know if you've seen it, but you can easily acquire a blue check mark by paying $8. Now, I'm not going to comment too much on it because that goes into politics and all these other different things. So I wouldn't get your, as I said, but I don't think Correa's, no, of course, I know you're joking, Almighty. But next player, acquired player, I would say definitely disappointing if you're a Red Sox fan, Trevor Story.
Yeah, it felt like it just went by so fast with him, and we expect him to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He started his career off hitting bombs in Colorado. When he was on the field this year, he was making plays defensively. Not many balls got past him. He's making highlight reel plays. I want Trevor Story to be our second baseman. I really, really do. The offense has got to come together. He's facing that illness early on in the year, wasn't healthy completely. Trevor Story's going to get a C- for me.
So Almighty says, I would take Correa on the Yankees. Jetsman's message, if we don't get Judge, Bader, Benintendi, and LeCastro, will be the fastest, best defense outfield in the league. I think he might say, I think he means that, we will if we get all of them. But no, that would be a solid defense. Trust me. We can't keep getting owned by the Astros. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. But until I see the changes made from the Yankees, whether that's managerial, front office, or personnel-wise, I still don't believe we're going to beat the Astros because they always come out on top no matter what. I'm going to shift over to one of your favorite players who disappointed, and they eventually, I would say, are moving towards a replacement either way. That is Bobby Dahlbeck.
It's funny because I can tell who it is before you even said who it was. Bobby Dahlbeck hit 215 this year, and it's just like you see him play in spring training. He is a stud. He looks like a man among boys out there, just swinging the bat, hitting fastballs. But he can't see pitches in the major leagues. I don't know what it is. Guys have a lot of diversity with their pitches. Mixing speeds. Obviously, it's going to be top of the. I mean, it's the men's league. It's the men's league. So he's got to step up at the plate. And I like what he does defensively. Bobby's going to get a D from me this year for Bobby D. Dahlbeck.
All right. So moving on, I got to figure out which player I got to go with next. I'm going to go with another controversial one. I'm going to go with Jarren Duran.
See, and that's a good one because the guy has so much talent, once he gets on base, you just want to see him go. I think he can steal any base, just such a threat on the base path. He does some good things defensively. However, in that game that we lost 28-3, whatever it was, you saw him look up at the ball and saw that it dropped behind him and then just kind of walk backwards. And at that point, I was out on him, and I still am. I don't care if you think your left fielder is going to get that ball. You gotta hustle, and you see him just walking towards the ball. Stuff like that doesn't fly. We're at Fenway Park. We don't play games like that. So let's see what he hit this year. Where's my boy Duran? 221. I like what he did early. He had 45 hits on the season in 204 plate appearances. Let's give him a C+.
Okay. All right. So Almighty says in the chat, why is MLB free agency so slow? No moves made. I would say just the way the MLB is structured. First of all, there's no like MLB draft until June, obviously. So it's not like they have a whole entire off season just to make moves. Stars will hold out, obviously. We know Machado and Harbor from a few years ago. It's just the way the MLB is. I think they're a little slower and less attractive in their like brand than the NBA, than the NFL. And listen, I'm a baseball first guy. I have been for, since I became a fan of sports, but it's just the truth. It's not as attractive as the others. And, as I said, overall, it's just not attractive as the others. I'm going to go to another one. Let's go with former Yankee Garrett Whitlock.
See, Garrett Whitlock, I root for that guy. I think he's the Rule 5 guy, right, from the Yankees. And I love that he throws the ball hard. I like his off-speed stuff. He locates the ball well. It seems like he gives up a lot of home runs. I'm pulling it up right now. But another guy that I was really rooting for this year because I like what I saw. I'm actually going to give him like a B or a B+ this year just because it seemed like we could rely on him to come in and get a few innings. And there was controversy. Do we want to start him or not? But he's going to get a B.
All right. Moving on to another pitcher. Let's go with someone who you were down on early. I don't know your thoughts on him towards the end of the season, but let's go with Nick Pivetta.
See, yeah, we were high on him early, and it kind of fizzled out. We wanted to going into the year, we were all excited about him being an anchor in that part of the pitching rotation, but it was Almighty says Josh Naylor to the Yankees. That's hilarious. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
You know what? Hold on, let me see something. Listen, I know we lost to the Astros, but this is still one of the funniest moments I've ever done with Unstrung. Here's a clip of it before we get back to the grades. One more time, ready? It's still funny.
That is so
I don't care what
funny.
anyone says.
I love it. Nick Pivetta gave up the most hits on the Red Sox this year. He did have a lot of time on the mound. He was bottom.
What's going on?
5% of the league in hard hit percentage. He was bottom 5 in the league in exit velocity. Kind of a workhorse this year. He can get a B for me.
Okay. Almighty says, what if Josh Naylor actually came to the Yankees? Well, if he struck out, and I think he tends to strike out a lot because he's that type of power hitter, he would have to get used to a lot of fat jokes. So, it doesn't matter if he I don't know how to put this. It doesn't matter if he's a Yankee and the Yankee fans, they'll still hate him, whatever they like it or not. It's just he has to play well for them and try to escape the disrespect. Red Sox too inconsistent of a franchise crapshoot. Well, I mean, MH technically was saying y'all should have sold at the deadline, and y'all kind of did reverse, but it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, we sold. We didn't sell. We were quiet, but we expected to turn on the Jets there at the end, and it never happened. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, MH technically should be teaming up with you against the Yankees. He's a Mets fan, so
come on, MH.
You know how much Red Sox and Mets fans like doing that. Speaking of weird moves at the deadline. I'm going to go over this guy, Eric Hosmer.
Eric Hosmer, I was so excited when he came over, man. Just like, it was when that Franchi Cordero, he was throwing the ball away multiple games in a row, missing throws at first base. And we bring in Eric Hosmer, and don't get me wrong, he was hitting the ball hard when he first came in. He was missing home runs just barely. I remember that first week he was here, hitting line drives just to the fence, and he kind of, along with the rest of the offense, defensively it was great. Along with the rest of the offense, he kind of fizzled out. He ended up getting 420 at bats, 380 at bats. He had 268 average with the Red Sox, so not a horrible year. Cornerstone of that defense, of what was good of it, and he'll get a B+.
All right, just gonna adjust the color here. No, not in black.
Not the Black Sox.
Yes, the Black Sox. Like the Black Sox scandal. Anyway, gonna go on to gotta pick my choices. Anyway, let's go with someone who made their debut. He didn't necessarily have any too attractive stats, but I think he hit 2 home runs off the Yankees. Let's go with Tristan Casas.
Yes, Tristan Casas. Did he hit 2 home runs against the Yankees?
I think he hit one off Cole.
Okay, yeah.
Off somebody else.
Yeah, he's a stud. That guy can hit the ball. He hit 5 home runs in this year. Only had 95 plate appearances. He hit 197. It's tough when you bring a guy in. I like what the Red Sox were doing. Like, just bring him in, see what he can do in these high pressure situations. You mentioned the home run off of Garrett Cole. I'd like to see what Tristan Casas can develop as far as defensively, and where he can fit at first base, because that's one of the moving parts. We want to see what kind of cornerstone we can get there. He hits a lot of balls to the opposite field as well, which is great. Good exit velocity. He can get a B for me as well.
All right. I'm going to move to someone who really didn't do that well. We were talking about pitching earlier. He's a younger cat, and I believe he lost on opening day. Cutter Crawford.
Yeah, he wasn't doing too hot to start the season. And I like that, Cora ran with him all year. It was good to see that, along with the offense, just throw him in there in these high-pressure situations, see how he can pitch. Cutter Crawford, ironic enough, is known for having one of the best cutters on this roster. So I like the movement on his pitches, good placement, throws the ball hard, but those mistakes really come back to hurt him. He gives up really good contact and a lot of home runs. So we'll see if he's going to stick around on the highest level.
Grade?
Grade C-.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Rob Refsnyder.
Rob Refsnyder was a nice addition. He's one of those guys that's going to hustle on every single play. You don't see him doing that Jarren Duran bullshit out there. He ended up having a good average this year. I think over 307 on the season with 150 at bats. The guy just has good 2-strike approach. Great defensive plays. He made a couple nice diving catches out there, and he's going to get a B+. All
right, so that's Rob Refsnyder. Let's move on to some. He opted into his contract, so we're talking about another person who has an option. He got injured against the Yankees. I think you guys know who I'm referring to. That's Chris Sale.
Yeah, I'm out on Chris Sale. What were you going to say?
I said, "Well, you're down on him."
I'm out. He's made of. I thought he was made of rubber, and then the Tommy John, and he just goes down. This guy's made of glass. I think, what was it? He was riding his bike and got injured in the midst of those 2 injuries. It's just like, what are you doing? Why is he riding his bike when you're trying
that should to be? I'm pretty sure that's against the contract.
Right. I know there's a lot of guys, especially in the NFL, that if you get injured doing non-football stuff, it's a big deal, because what are you doing? You're the moneymaker. Chris Sale's obviously a iconic Red Sox pitcher. One of my favorite players of all time, honestly. When he is on, he is nasty. That slider is unbelievable. This season, though, Chris Sale is going to get a D for me.
All right. Let's move on to another relief pitcher. Let's go with Josh Taylor.
Let's see. Let's pull up the stats. Why is he not on this roster?
Is he a free agent?
Well, everybody else that's a free agent on there. Let's do part of that rotation that was giving up a lot of runs at the end of games. It was really not good to see. It's like for the first time in a while, I wanted to turn Red Sox games off. This guy is going to get a C+ from me. We'll move on.
All right. So moving on to another part of the rotation, or at least part of the pitching staff, Tanner Houck.
I like the way Tanner Houck throws the baseball. Like he has a good 95+ mile an hour fastball. He was in the top of the league, I believe, in hitting in exit velocity. Doesn't give up a lot of hard contact, a lot of ground balls from him. Did give up a few home runs as the home run numbers rise here in the MLB. But I like the way Tanner Houck throws the ball. Big 6'5" guy. He could get a B+ this year.
Before he was moved, Christian Vasquez.
I love Vasquez, man. I think you know that. He's one of my favorite players on that team. I'm glad he got his ring. Vasquez has good pop time, good 2-strike approach. His time here was awesome, winning a World Series. Hopefully he comes back. He can get a B+ this year.
Let's go with, we're talking about not necessarily many options in the infield in terms of reserves. Jeter Downs.
The potential is there with Jeter Downs. I'm not in on him because of all the talk with Xander Boagerts replacing him. A lot of Sox fans on Twitter are saying that Jeter Downs is already better than Xander Boagerts. Believe it or not, they're saying that.
I don't believe so.
It's ridiculous. The guy's, I think he's a 10-year veteran now, and maybe he's a little bit slower, but calm down with Jeter Downs. He's got a couple years to go. He did play well other than the strikeouts, and we'll give him a C+.
Right. JD Martinez.
JD Martinez had a horrible year. D-. We'll
Not as much power.
No power. No opposite field hitting. D-. And I hope that he fucking turns it around.
Now, he also is a free agent. Would you re-sign him?
I would re-sign him. I think it was a slump year, and I think he's going to get back on it in 2023.
All right. Another questionable move at the deadline, Tommy Pham.
It seemed like kind of a desperation. Like, where are we going to go get a guy that can give us some offense as we were struggling going into the All-Star break and the deadline? I like the potential there. I think the move is like a C+ move, and the way he played is probably B-.
All right. Let's go with, even though he's a backup, we'll go with one backup and then the starter who came in. Let's go with Kevin Plawecki.
It's obvious when Plawecki was in the game versus Vasquez. He's not as good of a defensive catcher, but he does the job of a catcher in the major leagues, especially in the American League. I think he has good reaction time. The guys respect the hell out of him because, he does good things with his bat, and he's a leader in the clubhouse. Did a really good job after Vasquez got dealt, and then we will give him a B+. All
right, B+ for Vasquez. Hold on 1 second. So I'm trying to look. Speaking of a guy, before I go on to another guy, let's go with Frenchie Cordero.
I was going to say F. Trust me. I was going to just say F, and that's it. But I think he showed a little bit of comeback there towards the end of the year with his bat. So the defense is horrible. He doesn't know how to play first base, obviously. He came in as a right fielder, but you don't see anything special from him out there either. We'll give him a D.
One of the solid spots, one of the solid pitchers overall, Michael Wacha.
I love Michael Wacha, and all I gotta say about him, is I got to go see him pitch a shutout complete game in LA against the Angels, and it was awesome. I was standing right next to Verdugo the whole time, kind of chirping with him. Michael Wacha is awesome, the veteran that we played them in the 2013 World Series, and we got a big win against them. Michael Wacha on the hill. So it was nice to see us bring him in, and nice to see him have a really, really good year. I think he had like 12 or 13 wins.
Rich Hill.
Did I give you a grade for him already?
Did
for
you?
Michael Wacha?
I don't.
A minus.
Maybe
A minus.
A minus.
A minus.
Okay. Another free agent starting pitcher, Rich Hill.
Rich Hill, for a second, was one of our best pitchers there in the early on in the year, but no velocity from him. Guys were really squaring it up, especially at home. He was not pitching well at all. C minus.
Right. I don't think we went over him yet, but another free agent, Nathan Eovaldi.
Nasty Nate, man. I hope we can re-sign him. He's a clubhouse leader, guy that the fans really, really like. Nasty Nate is on the mound. Red Sox fans are all about it. The velocity is there still, which is crazy because he throws the ball really hard. The thing with him was location this year. He did a lot of good things, but got to stay more consistent, as most of these guys do. Nathan Eovaldi gets a B.
All right, we'll do like 3 more. Let's try. Hold on, I just lost his name. Hansel Robles.
I like the way that the Alex Cora used him, and I like his relationship with Alex Cora. The way he throws the ball is dirty, man. He don't mess around. He wants to get the ground ball. He wants to get the strikeout. Him and Plawecki didn't really gel well there at the end of the year, but I think he builds up that rotation pretty well, and I like the way he was throwing. I will give him a B+.
Second to last one, Greasy Reese.
Reese, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about me, but I don't like him. I just don't like the way he plays the game. The offense is there. He hits the hell out of the baseball. The Red Sox seem to like him. I don't see us having a future with him. I don't know what it is. I like the way he played. We'll give him a C+, but I'm not a fan.
Then finally, for managerial purposes, Alex Cora.
Cora's my boy. He managed well with what happened this year. I just don't think the players delivered. There's not a lot of controversy on Twitter with how Cora handles games. I think he pulls his starters a little bit too early. It was nice. That's why it was nice to see Michael Wacha go that complete game shutout. I like to see Cora leave him out there, but Cora's my guy. I hope he can stay here for a long, long time, and we'll give him an A- for the way he handled things this year.
All right. I was just looking at something because apparently Jeter was interviewing on a question about Aaron Judge. May have been old, though. Just a score update. The Panthers lead the Falcons 13-3. I don't know about you, Sox, but coming in this game, I had the Panthers winning.
I am going to be honest with you. I didn't make a pick, so we'll just not count mine.
All right. Well, just so you get, since technically, and we'll go over picks later. You are 1 game behind me in picks, so we'll just say you were right in the Panthers coming in.
I was one.
What was that?
Oh, my bad. I think one of our
Sox is having a little trouble here. This down. Okay, so Sox is temporarily out because it looks like there was a bad connection. I'm gonna get this all started up again, but just for the record, Sox is 1 game behind me in picks. That's what I was referencing, and Sox didn't really pick anybody, so I said, you know what, we'll just put you with the Panthers anyway. I'm going to go over about basically all 9 starters, the Yankees, some outfield, some pitching as well. Once Sox gets back, which shouldn't be too long, but Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, everybody. Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. I'll just wait on Sox, and then we'll get right to the Yankee stuff. But actually, you know what? Let me see if I could share this real quick. See if I could share this. Because Derek Jeter was asked a question. Oh, here he is. What was that last thing you said?
Sorry, I don't know what the hell happened with my internet, but you said I'm one game behind you. What happened?
In picks.
Did you miss one?
No, what I'm saying is that, like, I have one more win than you.
Whoa, did you come back?
Yeah, I did. Per my calculations, I did this before the show. I'm 75-61, and you're 74-62.
You got to be kidding me. And we don't pick the same games a lot. That's crazy.
See, I think it's over the last 2 weeks because you were 6-9 in week 8, and in week 9 you were 6-7, so you had under 500 records. While I had 11 wins in week 8 and then 9 wins in week 9.
Okay, yeah. So you've been really turning it on as of late. That's impressive.
So real quickly, I'll go through my Yankee grades. We could take a break, go to picks, and then we'll continue on the free agent route and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to start probably with all the 9 starters, including the designated hitter, maybe some players on the outside as well. Also including some bullpen pieces, pitching, and the manager. I'm going to start with Anthony Rizzo. He is a free agent. I'm going to give him a B+. I think he hit over 32 home runs, but wasn't necessarily the same hitter as he was in the past. I think the Yankee philosophy of the uppercut swings is hurting him. I'm going to give him a B+. As far as Josh Donaldson goes, I'm going to give him a D for defense. I could say that in a positive manner. Offensively, he was pretty trash. So there's that. So he'll get a D. Offense was bad. Defense was good. Not worth the $25 million. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, I'll give him a D as well because he was at least decent on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, he was trash at shortstop, and that's not all of his fault because the Yankees like to put players out of position at shortstop. Gleyber Torres, obviously the last 2 years, and then IKF. So there's that. DJ LeMahieu, it's tough to give a grade on him because he's hurt a lot, at least the last 2 years. I'm going to go ahead and say probably a B solid, because he was turning it on around the 270, 280 mark, and then he gets hurt again with his foot injury. So I'm not particularly happy about that. We'll see what happens heading into 23. So I went over him. Gleyber Torres, I'll give a C+. Had a great first half of the year. Then once the second half came on, he was just not very good. The effort started to go away. The power started to go away. He wanted to be a pull-happy hitter instead of being an opposite field guy, which he's very good at. I'm going to go ahead and say probably C+. As far as the outfield goes, we don't really need to discuss Aaron Judge. It's an A+ all around for him. 62+ home runs, carrying the Yankees single-handedly. As far as DH Giancarlo Stanton goes, solid, a little bit of an overrated first half for him because he was, instrumental in the Red Sox series to start the year, but, just kind of tailed off, especially in that second half of the injury. I'm going to give him a solid B to B-. In left field, I'll start with Benintendi. He got injured, which I don't like, but at the same time, I love the Benintendi trade. I would definitely re-sign him. I'm going to give him probably a B+. I'm going to be a little fair to him. Oswaldo Cabrera, I'll turn on next. Probably, let's see, Oswaldo Cabrera, probably A-. A couple of miscues here and there with the hitting, but once he turned it on. Not really a presence in the playoffs. Definitely a lot of future with him there. Harrison Bader in center field. Once he came back from the injury, I think it was plantar fasciitis, he was the best player for the Yankees in the playoffs, other than Garrett Cole. So I'm going to give him an A, solid A, despite the fact that he was injured. Aaron Hicks gets an F for me. No part in the season was he good at all. And With that being said, there was just no good part, and also giving up on plays, the lackluster effort. That's what pisses me off about Hicks. So that is for him. Joey Gallo, I mean, he's no longer on the team. He got traded midseason. He gets an F. I understand he was put in a tough situation with the mental tick and the anxiety, but the Yankees should have did their scouting. Joey Gallo was not a good player in a Yankees uniform. And finally, for the outfield / sort of infield, Matt Carpenter. I sort of put the foot thing on him in the playoffs. I'll give him an A- just to be fair. 13 home runs, 14 home runs, and little at-bats for the Yankees. He was that power pinch hitter that they needed. I saw it once at the stadium. Obviously, they didn't win that game, but it is what it is. Jose Trevino gets probably, I would say, B+, A-. Tailed off in the second half in terms of offense, but he was always the solid defensive catcher that the Yankees needed. He isn't really equipped to start a total of 162 games, or at least half of that. He got his playing time up, obviously, because, we needed a catcher. And I really don't credit Brian Cashman. I credit, just the fact that Ben Mordvet got hurt. He likes to hurt guys. Kyle Yoshioka probably gets a C- from me. Not very good. Second half, a little okay. Garrett Cole was the best pitcher. Yes, Fix. That's his name. Fix. Aaron Fix. With the Ficks. What grade does Luca Cashman get? Well, I don't know if I would call my brother Luca Cashman. Maybe I will, just to tease him. But anyway, shouts to Hayes, by the way. I'll get to Cashman's grade at some point. But Garrett Cole, for me, gets an A-. Wasn't good in the regular season, had a lot of blowups, but saved the Yankees a lot, got them out of situations in the postseason. Nestor Cortez gets an A+ for me. All-star. He did, phase out a little bit in the second half, but overall, solid pitcher, over-exceeded expectations, and just a great story there. Let me go to, no, Castro's not really important. Let's go to Michael King. I'll give him, an A-, B+. The Yankees really missed him, but at the same time, you got to operate with what you have. He's going to have Tommy John surgery. I think he should be ready for next spring training. Clay Holmes gets a B- from me because he blew up in the second half after a great first half. Was okay in the postseason. As far as Jonathan Loáisiga goes, he was, flip-floppy again, kind of like Holmes, but also, in two different aspects. First half was not very good. Second half was good. Postseason was iffy. So I'm going to go ahead and give him probably around the same grade, a B, a B-. Wandy Peralta gets an A for me. Workhorse, very good in the playoffs. Jameson Taillon, probably a solid B. You don't expect a ton from a pitcher like him, but also he gave up a lot of home runs. Jameson Taillon, talked about him. Luis Severino, I'd probably give an A. He did get hurt, but he was pretty reliable when he was on the mound. Frankie Montas, I'd probably give a C. Wasn't good in the Yankees uniform. The Yankees should have never traded for him. They should have used the pieces to go get a guy like Luis Castillo. We all know how that happened. Going to simplify it, maybe do like two more before we get to the manager. Clark Schmidt, probably around a B, A- as well. Lou Trevino, I would say around the same grade. If there's anyone I missed, anyone in the chat, please let me know. Almost didn't recognize you with the beard. Me, I mean, I don't got no beard. So, but thank you for the compliment. Hayes. Anyway, for manager, you know what, Sox? I'm gonna go out on a limb and give Aaron Boone a Y. That's his grade.
Oh, okay. Why not a Z?
Because why the fuck is he the manager? I made that joke on Monday. It was pretty good. It's still good today.
Yeah. Same delivery.
Why the fuck is he the manager?
That was good delivery too, and I kind of set it up with why not Z. I'd love that. Yeah, I just gotta say, I mean it when I say I don't think they're gonna win with him. I know it's kind of a shot, but it really truly does feel like that.
No, you're not the first person to say it either. And people could say it on the outside, but when people say it on the inside, it really fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Like I'm of that belief. I don't think the Yankees are winning anything with Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone. And what's funny is before I get to Cashman's grade, I don't even know if the fucking owner deserves a grade, considering the fact that he likes watching the team from 30,000 feet. Is that Brian Cashman is currently at the winter meetings for all these free agents, right? You do know that, well, actually, I know, but I'm going to tell you, you know, it's weird. He's not under contract and he's doing this.
Really?
Imagine you are the manager at your restaurant or whatever you're doing, and you're doing something for your place that you're working for, but you're not under contract.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting paid though.
I don't think he's getting paid. So it's either he's doing them a big fucking favor, or it's, well, let's see, they're hiding an extension from us because we know we're going to shit all over them. That's what I think it is. But Brian Cashman, I'm going to say he gets a Z, a Z plus. Z plus.
All right.
Shouts to Blue City. He goes, Justin Verlander is officially a free agent. Yep, heard that one. Let me put this. Yep, that's in my bookmarks already. But with that being said, before we go into some other free agent stuff, we're going to quickly break and do our picks for the week. So I mentioned the records earlier. I'll mention them again also for anyone not watching. The Panthers currently lead 19-9.
Big touchdown from Foreman. I got Foreman starting in my league. He's got 14 points already.
Deonta Foreman?
Yeah.
I don't know if I got anyone from any of these teams in my league, but actually, no, I got Drake London playing in my Yahoo league. But anyway, let's start the sharing of the screens. I actually want to not mark my board, but also before we get into the picks, I do have something to tell you. So Tony hasn't responded to me the last few days because he is moving into a new house, moving into an apartment. But he came on the call-in show, as you know, Sox, and wanted me and Donald to make a bet and said, listen, the Giants lose, you do this. Giants win, you do this. Okay, so what we came up with before we go into our picks here, I had Carolina coming in. I'm just going to put that on the record. We'll put Sox there as well. Boagerts needs a fresh start. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to talk about different teams, different needs, and all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be a great second half of the show. But here's the bet. I have it in my notes. So the bet is this. If the Giants win, Tony's YouTube and Twitter logo has to change to a Giants logo. I think that's pretty fair. Now, if the New York Giants were to lose this game, he gets his own segment on Monday's show.
Oh.
Yep. And we're going to switch the logo that's usually in the corner, for instance, like this one. That's going to change to a Texans logo for the segment.
You know, I think the segment should be called Tony's Tasty Texans Talk.
I like that. You know what? If the Giants lose, and if they lose, I'm going to be real fucking pissed off.
Yeah, me too.
Consider that. Thank you, Sox. That was
You're welcome.
Very helpful. I will be ecstatic if we somehow get Mookie Betts. I don't think the Yankees are in the market for him.
Yeah.
I just don't think. No, the Dodgers have several free agents, and they're going to work for their money from there. I don't think they're going to unload anybody. But let's start with the picks. I'm going to go to the spreads as usual. So let's start with this game. Denver coming off of a bye, and we made a couple of jokes on Monday because Denver's coming off of a bye. Good old friend and a guest on the show, prominent guest on the show, Angry John said, Broncos country, let's hide. And then also Donald came up with the one because of obviously there's the saying, let Russ cook. Russ's kitchen nightmares. So those are two good jokes right there. But the Broncos, the Titans, Broncos coming off of a bye. So unfortunately we have to, kind of see them play football this week again. Maybe not in my area because that's more towards like I wouldn't say Midwest, but towards the South. The Titans are 3-point favorites. Sox, where are you leaning with this? I don't know if Tannehill's playing this week, but just keep in mind Malik Willis may start, but also you're facing the very, very bad Broncos.
Titans by 10.
So I'm going to stick with the Tennessee Titans as well. The Yankees could do what they did back in 2016, call up all the young guys. Yeah, I mean, that's going to definitely be the way with shortstop. I don't think they have any outfield guys, so there's no sense there. Pitching, they're definitely going to call up some guys, but they need to choose a direction, and we're going to definitely talk about that in the second half of the show. Just to frequent this again, Sox is 74-62 on the season. I am 75-61 after a terrible. I was 2-14 week one, and look
That's
at the comeback I
unbelievable.
have driven.
Look at this guy. This guy's a money-making machine the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks. I mean, it's crazy that we're that close. It really is with how many games there have been.
Yeah, and you know what? Credit to you. The Giants, let's see. Let's think about this.
The Giants have helped me out a lot.
Yes, they've helped you out. Because if you want to be fair, now I'm not going to reveal who I'm picking for this one. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I've only picked the Giants to win, I want to say twice this year. I mentioned the Giants all 8 times.
Yep.
So obviously that's going to turn into 9 times. We all know it's inevitable.
Yes, sir.
Blake Martinez is retiring from the NFL. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised at that announcement from Blake Martinez. You know, he's still a solid linebacker, still in his prime, still manageable. But obviously the Raiders are a trash franchise, and you know, I guess he thought he wasn't going to get anywhere else in the league or any, value from any other team. So
isn't it crazy
that's why he made that move with his career? It's shocking once again.
Yeah, I mean, he was having a great career, but think about it. He was the leading tackler in the NFL since like 2017. He's taken a lot of shots. So at that linebacker position, I can see how it'll wear on him. So I'm not surprised.
Definitely agree there. Definitely some good points. And you know what? I'm thinking, because as I mentioned to you pre-show, I am going to Miami, Hollandale for my spring break. What the fuck am I talking about? My winter break to get away from this damn cold up here that we haven't even experienced yet.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about I was talking to a friend the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get a throwback Andrew Thomas jersey. But thinking on it, I'm like, you know what? I think I should get a throwback jersey with my name on the back.
That would be sick, man. And I think I've told you this before. That's a really good idea, by the way. I have a couple Giants jerseys one Giants jersey with my name on it, one Red Sox jersey with my name on it. But I try to get one player each year from each of my 3 favorite teams. So I'm trying to think of what Giants jersey I want this year. That's a good point.
I would suggest Andrew Thomas.
That's a really good point. I've never had a lineman's jersey, and I really want one.
Yeah, I've had running back, quarterback. There's one other one. Landon Collins, which obviously serves purposes now because he's back on the team. So safety, running back, and quarterback, from at least my knowledge.
I love
Anyway, we move into the Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I will say you'll have to start your name in the front of the yes, because I have a very long. I have to manage that somehow. I'm like, could I fit it on? Could I not fit it on?
Just make it curve.
You should get a Kayvon jersey. I'm gonna wait on that, but it could be like the curving thing.
Yeah.
But what I will give my college credit for, before we go into the picks of this game, is because some people came in from CBS today, and the game's on CBS. So I just wanted to shout out a few people. My friend Katerina actually works for CBS, and she's dealt with the people on NFL Today. Phil Simms, James Brown, all these different people. So, I've asked her a couple of things about that. And then I was talking to the guy who's one of the writers for like the script and everything for James Brown. And, we were talking about the draft process. And I was talking to him. I was like, do you take it upon yourself to go to the Senior Bowl? Do you take it upon yourself to go to, the East-West Shrine game? He says, sometimes I will, but I could just ask teams for film. And he does college football and NFL in the same thing. He does it, he does it combined both of them. So the work really never stops. And, he can take all of his college football knowledge and just take it with the NFL knowledge. And that's how he does it with certain things and all that different stuff. And he also goes to training camp as well. But, he was a nice guy. I think his name was Nathan. Very informative today. I just wanted to add that in. Blue City says also should do what the Yankees did 2016. Yep. Call up all the young guys. But I think they need to do a little bit more than that. Anyway, Jags, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, they were, I believe, 10-point favorites at the beginning of the week. Now they moved down 1 to 9.5. Though the Jaguars look semi-competent, I'm still going to have to take the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think the Jags are going to cover in this game. Call me crazy, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to win. I think the Jags cover and find a way to make it close.
All right. So next game, Cleveland is coming off of a bye. I think they got next week the Texans, and that's the game where, actually that might be week 12, but Deshaun Watson comes back soon either way.
It's week 13. It's the Texans game.
Yeah, because I remember he was suspended just an odd. It wasn't really odd, but
12 games.
If Swanson left ATL, what team gives the bag? It's interesting. And listen, that's yes. The second half of the show is going to be a ton about free agency. Trust me, MH. You'll definitely want to stick around for it. But there's a lot of better options than Swanson. So I think he'll get a bag. It's just, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that go before him. Correa, Trey Turner, Xander Boagerts. We'll definitely talk about that. We just wanted to take a little break from baseball, go into this, and then the second half is going to be filled with baseball. But as for the Browns, the Dolphins, Miami's 3.5-point favorites. I'm going to go with Miami here.
I'm going to go with Cleveland. I think I'm a little bit of a homer there. I think I told you my dad's a huge Browns fan, so I like to pull for them, but I really do think they can go down and beat Cleveland, beat Miami, excuse me.
Yeah, MH says dope. And I will be at the Jets-Miami game week 18, so I'll be making my second trip to Hard Rock Stadium. Hopefully it's better than the first trip I made. So we go to an interesting matchup, not necessarily appetizing. If you're on the West Coast, I would throw the fuck up. Colts, Raiders. Colts, well, they hired Jeff Saturday, who only has high school coaching experience, was a consultant to Jim Irsay. And then you have the Raiders, who've blown 3 17-point plus point leads, whatever the hell you want to put those words in. Very unappetizing game. Very unappetizing. I'd throw the fuck up. The Raiders are 4.5-point favorites. Where are you going with this, Sox?
Look, I really want to
bots, man.
Yeah, these bots. I don't know, but I really want to know what you got against these two teams. Like, I get it that it's an unappetizing game, but you're like, I'll throw the fuck up. Why do you hate these two teams?
Well, first of all, let me just get this comment. What about catchers? The catchers, I missed it. The catchers. Well, oh my lord,
Jesus,
what is with these bots, man? It's like the last few days. I'm getting a ton of them. But to frequent on it before we go back to football, as I said, the second half is going to be full. Catchers wise, I don't think there's too much of a market outside of Contreras. Just my personal opinion, and Vasquez too.
Yeah.
But what do I have against these two teams? You ask. The Raiders. No, they're just not a good team. They have that talent on the field. There's no way with that talent on the field, you are 2-6. That is a competitive S division, but they've, once again, 17 plus point leads. They've blown that 3 times this year. I think there's actually a stat out there. In the past, I want to say 50 years, they've blown 5 17 plus point leads in the past 50 years before this year. And they've already blown 3 this year.
Wow. And that is insane.
You look at their edge rushers, right? You think, okay, this, they have a lot of talent on the edge. Chandler Jones has half a sack. I don't know how much Max Crosby has. Now, their secondary, I don't know how it shapes up, but Patrick Graham hosts a pretty terrible defense. And then for the Colts, you could talk about whatever you think about the Jeff Saturday thing. I thought it was quite odd. A. B. Their quarterback, Sam Ellinger.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
mean, I'll be honest with you. I do like the Jeff Saturday. That's a win-win. So it's a win-win for Jeff Saturday and the Colts. Like, you don't expect much. That's why, I think if they go in there and win, 3 of their last half of the season
whatever, yeah.
games, whatever it is, it's going to be success. I'm a big fan of the move. As far as the game goes, um, I think the Colts go in there and win for Jeff. I think the players will be juiced for him. The Raiders absolutely stink, as you mentioned. Colts win on the road.
Okay, so I'm actually going to go and not agree with you. I'm going to actually go against you here. I'm picking a lot of home opponents. I think we
Yeah.
got to change that at some point. And I have a theory. I'm going to have a big one.
It's going to be
Anyway.
the Texans.
No, I promise you. I'm picking the Giants this week. So the New York Giants against the Houston Texans are 4.5-point favorites. I thought it was 6.5 at the beginning of the week. I don't know why it's down to 4.5. Maybe it's because of the Xavier McKinney thing. Which I'm not too fond of. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to complain about 100 times out of 100, but you got to be careful on your bye week, especially with the contract. We talked about the Chris Sale thing with the bike contract. Obviously, if he was some random ass player, he'd be cut.
Yeah.
But he holds a lot of value on this team. He'll learn. I'm going to pick the Giants this week. Go Big Blue. They're back. Sox, you're going to do the same thing.
Let's move on.
Yes. So another pretty unappetizing matchup. We got the Saints and the Steelers this week. 2 kings of home field advantage, at least history-wise. I'm pretty sure the Saints are still going to keep riding with Andy Dalton. He's looked at least decent. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. They're 3-6. The Steelers are 2-6. The Steelers are 1.5-point underdogs. I'm going to lean Steelers here.
I am leaning the opposite direction for some reason. I think the Saints are going to figure out how to move the ball efficiently, keep the Steelers off the field, and churn out a little bit of a win here.
All right, so shout outs to Jeff Nelson in the chat. He says, what's going on, fellas? Jets have played well thus far. My opinion sure is flipped. Yeah, Jeff was a big critic of the Jets coming in the year. Like after the first week, he was making joke after joke. Oh, the Jets, the same old team, this, that, and the other thing. It was funny to watch Luka rant, but, the Jet fans have, turned a 180 on their head coach. And listen, good for them. I don't really root against them. I don't really have a hatred for them other than the fact my brother's a Jets fan. But, if we played each other like the Yankees and Red Sox, like the Yankees and Mets play each other, then we would be talking a different story. So, obviously, Sox has the Saints. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't know if Josh Allen's playing this week. The Minnesota Vikings are in town. They're used to that cold weather up in Minnesota. The Buffalo Bills are 3.5-point favorites. I feel like they may push Josh Allen to go just because, but I'm actually going to take a Vikings upset here.
This is interesting because, like you said, we don't know if Josh Allen is playing. I think that they're going to push towards sitting him because if I remember correctly, I think the Bills have a couple of weak opponents coming up, maybe one of them being Detroit. So maybe a little 3-game break here. Let the Bills possibly pull out a W against a really good team here with Minnesota. So I'm going to pull for Buffalo to win.
Okay, so you were talking about possibly a break for Josh Allen. So after, and this is just a little preview hint into my next few games, after the Bills, they do face the Browns, which is a little bit of a break. Then they face the Lions on Thursday Night Football. Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah, so sit him for 3 games.
Yeah, Case Keenum versus Jared Goff. I'm gonna puke. But yeah, I'm not watching that Thursday night. Oh, that's on Thanksgiving. What the fuck am I talking about?
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna have to watch that treacherous game on Thanksgiving. Well, I mean, I watch football all day on Thanksgiving. Either way, are we really 2 weeks away from that? Holy shit!
Yes, sir. Cowboys.
The next week we got the Titans Packers game doing. So all good stuff. Anyway, moving on. West Coast game again in the state of California. It is the Chargers coming to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. 49ers are coming off of a bye. The 49ers are 7-point underdog. Not 7-point underdogs. They're 7-point favorites. And only one loss between the two. So the Chargers are 5-3, 4-4, the 49ers. I'm taking the 49ers here.
Niners win, Chargers cover.
All right. So obviously we talked about this game a little bit. This is the Germany game. The Seattle Seahawks. Last week they played the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to Germany to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, the Buccaneers pulled one out against the Los Angeles Rams. This one's tough, Sox. Where are you leaning?
This one is really tough because Seattle's been playing really, really well. I think something tells me Tampa wins decisively here.
Tampa Bay is 2.5-point favorites. I'm going to go Tampa Bay. That's and I hate to use the excuse jet lag, but Tampa Bay's 2.5-point favorites, and you're traveling all the way from Seattle.
Yeah.
Tough ask. So I'm actually surprised that the Bears-Lions game is not a Thanksgiving game this year.
Yeah.
But the Lions are on Thanksgiving, so that just generally sucks. Hopefully they come off a loss before that when they first the Giants next week. But Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears in terms of spreads and all that sort of stuff. The Lions are 3-point underdogs. Give me the Chicago Bears.
Give me the Chicago Bears.
So you learned actually, hold on. The Lions, no, not last week, but I feel like you picked the Lions 2 weeks ago and you were wrong. Let's go back.
I picked them 2 weeks in a row and I was wrong.
Well, last week you didn't pick them. We all picked Green Bay. You picked them against Miami, and Miami won. So you were close on that one. They did blow a big lead. So if it wasn't for the blown lead and all that stuff, moving into the West a little bit more, Arizona at LA. I don't know what Stafford's status is. He was in concussion protocol earlier this week, and there just seems to be a disconnect in Arizona. Sox, what are your thoughts on this game as I hook up the spread?
Did you see the video of Budda Baker, the Cardinals safety, talking to his teammates about we got to get better? It went on before it cut off because they're on Hard Knocks mid-season now. To him telling Kyler Murray to get off the video games. Did you see
really?
That? Yes. You got to check out the original. He's like, get off the game or something like that. It was awesome.
I have like a quote bookmarked. Like I feel like I have that. I think there was actual. So now that you bring that to my attention, I'm gonna take that off the screen real quick.
I'll take the Rams though.
Yes. Just as I said, everybody, we're doing a pause because I do have something saved in relatance to this Cardinals hard knocks crap. So there is some audio that's not really what Sox was talking about, but I do have the audio from the Budda Baker thing. But I also want to talk about the audio between the Hopkins and Kyler Murray dispute. So let's take a look and see what they say. Hopefully, at least this is real and nobody's voicing it over because I haven't checked this out. But let's take a look.
6-yard game, it's fourth down. The Cardinals will punt. Not good. What you looking at, bro? What you see? Bro, you're right there. You're at the same. You're at the same on the ticket. Bro, come on, bro. That's your wide open. Hey, offense, let's go. Let's go. Offense, let's go. Offense, let's go. I'm trying to win. That's good. I'm trying to win. Nothing they're doing, right? It's up. Nothing they're doing. It's up. Routine plays. Get in tempo and go. You're good. Just got to plug in. They cannot stop us. Oh, we got to look at that door. Right? We got it.
Okay, so here's what I take away from that. Now, I don't expect you to scream your eyeballs out, but I just feel like there's not too much intensity from Cliff Kingsbury.
I can agree with that.
I'm going to go to the Budda Baker thing because, as you said, you pointed out the whole get off the video games. I only saw like a minute clip, but okay. So here's from the Arizona Cardinals. All right. Let's do this one more time. We'll get back to the picks too. All right. That over. Let's try this.
We need to step the up. All of us. All of us. Step the up. Work harder. Recover. Watch more film. I'm tired of losing. It hurts my heart. I'm tired of losing at home. We need to get this together. Come on. Let's go, man. I love y'all boys, man. Let's go, man. Come on. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. Let's go. Our Father, who art in heaven.
Okay, so obviously it does not show the Kyler thing, which I would have wanted to see.
Yeah, I think it was on the actual episode that they showed it. That obviously they don't want that to get out, right? I think it's out there though.
I wouldn't be too surprised. So, 2 more comments from Hey Is. LeSean McCoy killed Murray, said he's trash, high school QB. I think I saw that. Whoever gave Murray the extension should be fired. Yes, that was Steve Keim. They originally also gave him that clause about the film watching. Obviously, everybody criticized it. And then he took it out. And then, who's right all along. So, I'm actually going to take the Cardinals. I don't know why. I have this stench, this feeling, this gut feeling. Now, I've taken the Cardinals before, and they've lost. I took them against Seattle, I think it was last week. So I'm going to ride with them this week again. The 3-6 Cardinals versus the Rams. The Rams are 1.5-point favorites. Give me the Cardinals. We got 2 more on the docket. Dallas Cowboys off of a bye in Green Bay. Green Bay is in fucking free fall right now. Green Bay is currently a 4.5-point underdog at home.
That's insane. Give me the Packers.
Give me the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just can't say it.
I don't blame you, Sox. Listen, you'll get all of the credit.
Yeah.
You'll get all the credit if it turns out to be the Cowboys win. Now, the Packers win. But also as well, here's what I said. Yes, it is a stench. It is a stench in terms of picking the Cardinals. But this is what I said on Monday's show. I'm going to reiterate it today. If the Raiders lose to the Colts, I'm picking against the Raiders for the rest of the season.
That's a good idea.
Rip the Cardinals. Shouts to Baleb. Haven't seen you before. Definitely hit that like button. Subscribe. Yes, rip the Cardinals.
If that's my boy Caleb, what's up, Caleb?
So next one is Washington, Philadelphia. For some reason, they put this on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia is the biggest favorite of the week at 11 points.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a franchise that's in disarray. We talk about the Packers, but Washington with all their Dan Snyder
They're
stuff.
getting sued today.
And they're getting sued today. And there just seems to be one thing after another with them. Philadelphia wins by 1 million.
All right. Davis Carr, he probably means, Davis, you could say he's Davis Mills.
Yeah.
But we all know you mean Derek Carr. I don't have him in fantasy. My brother doesn't. For some reason, he's still got a good record, but I'm going to take the Eagles. So that wraps up for our picks for the week. Now, for our second half of the show, we'll start out real quickly because I want to pull this up. Spot track free agents. We're going to go over stay and go in terms of our team's free agents. Then we could talk about trade candidates, and then we'll finish off with free agent predictions. And just so we don't pick randoms, I from an Athletic article, I looked at teams, I looked at their needs, and put it all next to positions, players, all that good stuff. So I'm going to be fair. I'm going to start out with the Red Sox real quick. All teams. Let's start out with Boston. Available. Okay. All right, Sox. JD Martinez.
JD Martinez is going to stay.
All right. Mitch says yes. Hey, it says I'm on a pad tonight. If that means something. Xander Boagerts.
I think it's gonna go down to the wire, and real true prediction is that he's going to get locked up here in Boston.
Okay. Nathan Eovaldi.
I think Evaldi's going to walk. I don't know what it is. I think somebody's going to pay him. Somebody that needs a real hard velocity spot pitcher. They're going to take him.
Yeah, I have that feeling too. Let's go with Tommy Pham.
I think they brought him in with eyes on 2023. We'll see what his needs are as far as the contract is, but I think they want him to stay.
All right. Next up, let's go with Michael Wacha.
Wacha, he's a veteran. He's gonna look for some money right here as his career comes to a close. I think he did a good job showing the Sox that he can still pitch in the big leagues. So let's bring him back.
Yeah, I got you there. Hayes. Rich Hill.
I think that's a guy that's going to end up going somewhere else. I don't know what it is that tells me, but I think he's gone.
It's amazing he's still pitching. 42 years old.
I mean, hey, he's here for a reason. He's been in the big leagues for a long time for a reason. It doesn't just happen like that.
True. I'm going to do about two more. Matt Strom.
He's gone.
You just said that with full confidence.
I 100% believe that he's gone. I can see him pitching elsewhere, and I think it's going to happen quick.
So if you have that much conviction on that, you're going to have a lot of conviction on this next guy. And that's, I'm not even going to pronounce his first name, Sawamura.
Hirokazu Sawamura. The guy, I was so excited about him coming in. He was already old coming in as a rookie in the majors, and his splitter is disgusting, man. It's the best splitter on the team by far, and he's going to be gone. That's for sure.
All right, so that does it for the Red Sox. Now we get to move into the Yankees. Aaron Judge, do I think he's going to stay? I'm going to leave that for the predictions. I would bring him back at least. Aroldis Chapman, he can go fuck himself. Anthony Rizzo, I would bring him back because the options aren't too, great in free agency. I'd bring him back. Why not? Match his offer if he's not going to take the qualifying offer. Andrew Benintendi, I would bring back in a heartbeat. Having an outfield of Benintendi, Bader, and Judge, I mean, that would be a sick outfield, as Jets just mentioned. Zach Britton, I would tell him to fuck off. Waste of money. Trade worked at the time a few years ago. I wouldn't do it again. Jameson Taillon, he's a B-type pitcher, C-type pitcher in this league. You're not going to expect too much out of him. I don't think do I think he's going to come back? I don't know. I think he'd be a good fit, hint, hint, for a team like Baltimore, for a team that just needs solid B pitching. But I think the Yankees could move on with him, maybe invest in a Carlos Rodon type. Even though that's a very tall ask, I'm going to say no to Jameson Taillon. Chad Green, he's had his moments over the past few seasons. I'm going to say no to him. He's coming off of a season-ending injury. I don't really like that, even though Cashman likes his injured players. Miguel Castro, I'm going to say no to. Never really, at first I thought the trade was good, but I had Mets fans telling me this guy isn't good, and they ended up being right. So no. Matt Carpenter, maybe as a bench option. But I'm not too sold on him coming off of a foot injury. And, I feel like when it comes down to the wire, he may not be the same player as last year. Hayes says, gotta go, guys. Have a good night. I'm sending some razors. Thank you, Hayes, for tuning in. So next up, Marwin Gonzalez. I would not at all take him back. He was solid for a little bit when they were playing him. I think it was at shortstop or first base for a little bit. I want to say it was before the All-Star break. You got Ozzie Cabrera now. No reason to bring Marwin Gonzalez back. Greg Bird is not even a real Yankees free agent, so I'm not even going to discuss him. You got Estevan Florial, so there's no real reason to bring Tim LeCastro back. And I'm pretty sure that's it for the Yankees aspect. So now, before we go into the Yankees aspect of the trades, what are some players, in your opinion, Sox, and we could go through them one by one, that you think the Red Sox should move or that they will move this offseason?
That's interesting because there's a lot of talk at right field, right? I think Franchi Cordero's on his way out.
Okay.
Tommy Pham's interesting because I mentioned I think they want him for 2023, but there's so many moves that are going to happen. I think he's possibly a guy that could be on his way out as well. Eric Hosmer, I think possibly will be on his way out, depending on what we want to do with our young first baseman. Those three really stick out to me. The pitching staff is going to be brand new. Evaldi, obviously, we'll see what happens there. Those guys are a few that really stick out to me. That we got to figure out at first base. That's gonna be a big anchor, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Do you see them? Now, I'm not going to say that it would be like with the utmost confidence in the world that they're going to get something good back, but would you see them trading Bobby Dahlbeck?
I could see it. And good point. I don't think we get much in return there. I don't think he's shown that he can do much consistently. So maybe we just keep him around, honestly.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of some other names right off the top. First of all, off topic, but still dealing with baseball, how do you feel about James Paxton? Obviously, the club declined his option. It's a mutual option, so he could accept or he could just go somewhere else. Like, how do you feel about that?
Right. I think that he's going to try. I think he's going to accept. There was a lot of potential. We wanted to see what he was going to do, maybe competitively at the end of the year. When he ended up being healthy, we weren't even competitive anymore. So I think he'll be back for 2023.
Justin Smith says, I'll take Hosmer over Donaldson. Well, it does say something when, you'll take Hosmer, either the contract, A,
right,
B, or a left-handed first baseman playing third.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I think that just shows how much disdain Justin Smith have. But, I agree with him. Would I take a lefty at third? No, but
yeah,
we all know that. I don't think they would try to move Sale's contract because that's impossible. Can't really do it. I mean, I don't know how much he's getting paid annually, but just the player.
I think they would try, but I don't think it would work.
Okay. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like those. I just don't think you're getting much for the guys we mentioned. Now, off the top of my head, and looking at some of the needs in free agency, here are 4 teams that would need a first baseman, and Bobby Dahlbeck once again has not established himself as a starter. He's only established himself as a starter in spring training, but some teams to look at who need first base help: Detroit, San Diego, New York, and Houston. Now, I'm going to look at Detroit real quick because I think that's the potential only fit for the reason that Miggy's playing more DH, but they also have a lot of youth there. They have Spencer Torkelson, so they could say Dahlbeck could be a DH in the future. As I said,
I don't see that.
It's a tough ask. It really is. So I don't think, to put a cap on it, I don't think the Red Sox have too many tradable players unless they go out and, weirdly enough, trade. I don't know. I just can't think of it.
They're going to stay quiet. They're going to stay quiet. The Red Sox don't trade anyways as much as other teams do. So I think it's going to be quiet.
Good point. So real quickly to go into the Yankees and then going into our predictions as well. I have 5 players I think the Yankees do need to trade. Obviously, some have been spotted in rumors already. I'll start out with Josh Donaldson. Now, Brian Cashman has said that he's going to be the starting third baseman next year. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt, but Brian Cashman's Brian Cashman. We know how he works. The 2 teams I've identified as fits. Now, the second one you have to take with a grain of salt again because they're selling on their starting pitchers, and you would want to know, are they going to sell on Christian Yelich? That team is the Milwaukee Brewers because last year, and I watched them closely, obviously they versed the Yankees a little bit. I do think they won not the World Series, Jesus Christ. They won the series against the Yankees. Or they may not have, I don't know, but they just didn't seem like a very solid offensive team and a team that would take a chance on a guy like Donaldson. problem is A, the contract, B, they just got rid of their GM or president of baseball operations. So, it wouldn't make much sense there. As far as the Detroit Tigers go, I'm going to take a look at their roster real quickly. But Heimer Candelario, I mean, he hit like 15 home runs, had a 217 average. Josh Donaldson, though the contract is higher, gives you more power, more offense, and he gives you more defense as well. So even though it would cost a little bit more, the Yankees definitely have to eat some salary off of these different trades as I scroll forever. So only real third baseman, in my opinion, you could probably fit is one of the Castros, Candelario. But overall, I think the best fit would be Detroit. But it's a very tough ask with obviously all the salary hanging on. The next guy I would like traded is Aaron Hicks. Now, his contract is very tradable. I just have some gut feeling that the Yankees are not going to trade him. But the player isn't movable. The contract is. It's like $10 million per year. That's not a lot. I think some of the teams that could be in for him are the Cubs, the White Sox, the Rockies, the Marlins, and the Angels. With Fitz most likely going towards the Cubs and the Angels. We all know how much Mike Trout is hurt from year-to-year basis, and they need a couple of guys in that outfield just to back him up. He can play corner outfield. He can also play mostly center field as well. So when Trout is hurt, needs a day off. Obviously, once again, that would cost $10 million, and I think he's got a few more years left on the contract. And then the other team I mentioned, the Chicago Cubs, they don't really have any sure options other than younger, unestablished cats in the outfield. So I think the Chicago Cubs would be also an option, but I'm going to go ahead and first off just say straight across the board that LA would probably be the most friendliest, not, of course, the Dodgers. So the next guy I'm going to move on to before we have two more and wrap it up and go into our predictions, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Now, the Marlins, the Dodgers, and the Cardinals I put as options. There is some youth in St. Louis. I think they got one guy, Donovan, who was the one of the runner-ups to Rookie of the Year in the National League. The Dodgers, they do need some help on that left side of the infield. They have declined the option of Justin Turner, so maybe they'll try to get younger there and try to really save some money. I mean, Trey Turner's a free agent. He's not going to be playing shortstop, but you'll need some depth there. It depends who they have at third and all these different positions. I know Max Muncy's there. Gavin Lux, I think, is more of the right side of the infield. So I think LA would be a fit. The Marlins, I think they're weird in terms of the direction, but I'm going to go St. Louis as for him. Gleyber Torres, the teams I posted as destinations, possibly Marlins, Royals, Tigers, Arizona, Oakland, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. Seattle, I think, is very doable. Adam Frazier did not fit the bill. Gleyber Torres gets a new start, new manager, new youth movement over there. As far as Philly goes, it would be a lot harsher on him. Maybe Rob Thompson will be a little bit more on his ass. Plus, Philly has a very tense fan base, so that may not be a fit in the end. I think the Tigers have way too much youth to take on Gleyber Torres, but he is probably more established than some of the guys they have up right now. And they got years of control with Gleyber Torres. The Marlins have been in talks, for the longest time now. It was supposed to happen at the deadline, but the GM kind of pulled it back and said, "No, we're not trading Pablo Lopez to you guys for Torres." The Royals are definitely an option because, Bobby Witt Jr. plays shortstop. They got Pasquantino. They got, some other kid. I'm forgetting the name right now. But they got second base open because Whit Merrifield is no longer there. So I think he would fit right in. Once again, years of control. You don't have to pay too much for Gleyber Torres. So my options that would stick out to me right off the bat, probably Seattle because they are still in win now mode. I don't think, not that he controls it, but I don't think Gleyber Torres want to go to the Royals where it's like, oh my God, you'll wait a couple of years. I think Seattle will be the best fit, and the Yankees could get somebody like Chris Flexen, Marco Gonzalez, one of those pitchers back, and they could maybe even send Frankie Montas in that trade. And that's the guy I'm going to finish off with for this section. I put Braves, Orioles, Rockies, Royals, Los Angeles, Milwaukee, not St. Louis again, San Diego, and Texas. I'll start off with the Braves. I think they have a youth movement going on really well. I don't think they'd be willing to take on Montas, but I could see him in a Braves uniform. As far as the Orioles go, you're not really trading in division, but they are going to be in the hunt for some of these very good starting pitchers, whether it be free agency or trade. The Rockies, they're in a weird direction. We're going to talk about them a little bit when it comes to the free agent market because they said to be in on Judge. They're said to be in on Brandon Nimmo. So they're a little weird. The Royals possibly, but I don't think they're there yet. They just fired their manager and hired Matt Cotaro. LA, I think they need some starting pitching over there. The only names you really recognize are Reed Detmers and Shohei Ohtani. Milwaukee's looking to sell their starting pitchers, so it really wouldn't make sense there. San Diego, I believe he would fit because you got Snell. Clevenger's a free agent. Darvish is not a free agent. They also have another free agent in Sean Manaea. But I think San Diego, Texas, you could also make as a potential destination because John Gray's over there. They have a couple of youth guys, but he would fit right in, not as much heat on him and stuff like that. So I think two options, San Diego and Texas, and that leaves it off for me in terms of trade destinations. Now we get to the fun part, and I'm going to go by position here. Obviously, we're going to include Sox as well. Because this is going to go down on record as our predictions, and this is what we'll finish off with. So we'll start off with a catcher position now before we're going into bats and outfield first. So I do want to make these little notes based off the article. Cleveland, one of their needs that isn't position specified is a power bat. Miami needs quality bats. Milwaukee and Washington need defense. Tampa Bay and Toronto need lefty hitters. St. Louis needs bench. And Kansas City needs a right-handed bat. So first off, we're going to start with a smaller market in terms of popular guys. I'm not going through every free agent because that would take too much time. And, why would we go through a market with a bunch of backup catchers? We'll start off with catcher. Baltimore, Arizona, and Minnesota need backup catchers. I'm going to start out with Wilson Contreras. Also, Atlanta. Not Atlanta. That's the brother, but Wilson Contreras. Let's try to see where he's going. Any first thoughts?
I could see Arizona being in play there. I'm going to put that down as my prediction.
Okay. Also, Cleveland and St. Louis are looking for top tier catchers. Just to add that in there. They're looking for top tier, not necessarily backup. Contreras is obviously, a capable starter. I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to say he's going to go to the Cardinals.
Okay.
So I'll mark that down. And you said Arizona.
Yes.
So let's go with St. Louis and then Sox. Says Arizona. Oh, that's Sox says Arizona. That's that's pretty it's pretty convenient. Next one, former Red Sox Christian Vazquez.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a pipe dream to bring Christian Vazquez back home, but I'm gonna try to speak it into the universe there, and let's say he comes back to Boston.
Okay. All right. So Sox are going to say he's going to go to the Red Sox. I think Cleveland. Now, I got to look up how old Christian Vazquez is real quickly. So Christian Vazquez is, he's 32 years old.
I was going to say 33.
So I think he could be a fit in Cleveland. It's just there's a youth movement going on there.
Right.
But at the same time, he does bring a little bit of a sense of power to the table, and they do need that. And they just need more established players. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to head to Cleveland.
Okay.
So you say Boston, I say Cleveland. We both stay on the side. And also, he could go to St. Louis, but right now I have him staying in the American League like he has his entire career. So this one's going to be a little interesting. It's going to be a little dicier as well. We're going to talk about the first base market now. San Diego, New York, Detroit, and Houston are some teams that will be looking within the first base market. I'm going to go with Anthony Rizzo first. Anthony Rizzo.
That's interesting. I don't know what the Yankees' plan is with him because I think he's a really good fit there. And I think you would know better than me, but my prediction is he stays in New York.
See, here's why I want to say that, and here's why I don't want to say that. Because it seems very realistic that he would stay in New York, but if Judge doesn't stay in New York,
Right.
he leaves. Like, they're buddy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out on a limb and agree with you and say that Rizzo stays in New York.
Nice.
So let's mark that down. New York. Okay. How about Trey Mancini?
Winning a ring, that makes you want to stay home. And I think that's a possibility. I think that's my prediction. Trey Mancini stays home he's looking for a bag. He proved that he's back 100%. So making good plays on defense. I think he stays in Houston.
Okay, so Sox says he stays in Houston. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he goes to the National League and he goes to the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
Josh Bell wasn't very good in the playoffs. They could go out and sign a guy like Jose Abreu, which we'll probably move to next. But I'm going to go out and say, you know what? He's going to go to San Diego.
Nice.
There's that. And chat, please feel free to join us in our predictions as well. So let's go to Jose Abreu. Now, he's up there in age. I think he's still got a pretty good bat. I got to look up his stats real quick. I believe he's around 30. Okay, there's 35. Last year for the White Sox, 304, 110 strikeouts, 15 home runs, 75 RBIs. The previous season, he had 30. So I think he's still got a lot left in the bat. Obviously, last year didn't have as much power. I think that changes. I'm going to go out on a limb. Despite the youth movement, a little bit in Houston, I'm going to say Houston signs Jose Abreu.
I think that's accurate, and I see this stat here that says he's has only one full season where his OPS is below 800 since 2014, which is pretty steady. I think my prediction is the White Sox sign him.
Okay, so you do predict that. He's going to go back to his old team in the White Sox. So I said Houston, and Sox says the Sox, the different Sox. All right. So we got 5 more guys to go. It's going to get a little dicier, of course. Which one's attractive out of these? I'm going to go out and say Josh Bell.
Josh Bell is quite the conversation at 30 years old. I think the Rays are interested in him. He started off last year on fire in the first half, but he really stumped. He really got slumped in the second half with the Padres. Didn't really show up well in the playoffs either. Who's going to take a risk on Josh Bell? I think the Rays and Astros are a play. I think Mancini stays in Houston. That's a big play as well. My prediction is the Rays sign Josh Bell.
Okay, so you'll be marked down for the Rays. Now, also, it has been said that the Chicago Cubs have been preparing for a first baseman, Josh Bell and Trey Mancini, amongst others. So obviously, they're a part of this youth movement. Would it make a ton of sense to really? I don't know. It's interesting because they want to get younger. Even though they still have Marcus Stroman on the payroll. So you say Tampa Bay. I'm going to go out and say he signs with the Cubs.
Nice.
Chicago Cubs for me. Okay. Now, once again, gets even dicier. Now, you could stretch this into a little bit of a DH talk. The guys we have left, and I'll let you choose which one we could start out with first. There's Brandon Belt, Miguel Sano, Yuli Gurriel, and Johan Santana. Not Johan Santana. Jesus Christ. I'm off tonight. Carlos Santana.
Carlos Santana. Okay, let's talk about Carlos Santana.
All right, so he is coming off a season with the Seattle Mariners. We get his stats up here. So Santana was primarily a DH. Was with Kansas City. Not very good in terms of the batting average. I mean, he didn't strike out a ton. 202, 88 strikeouts, 131 games, and 19 home runs. And he had the same total with Kansas City the prior year. So he still got some power. Definitely could be a DH. Obviously, that's probably mostly served his purpose. I might go out on a limb and say Minnesota. Even though they kind of just had Miguel Sano, who's kind of like the same player. I just think Santana's a little bit better. Let me look at their roster right now. Yeah, I could say they add in, Santana. You look at first base. At least I'm looking at their roster right now. So you got Urshela, Jose Miranda, Jorge Polanco, and Luis Arias. Arias, I think he plays second and first. I'm going to go out and say that Carlos Santana signs with, he's going to go ahead. I don't know, too, because, Yuli Gurriel could also sign there.
Yeah.
Man, this is fucking tough. Who fits more in a... I'm going to go on a limb and stick to my original prediction, say that Minnesota signs Santana.
I hate to be like this, but I'm just going to go on the record and agree with you and say Minnesota.
All right. So Sox and you go with Minnesota. So we got a few more. Yuli Gurriel, Miguel Sano, and Brandon Belt. I want to say Belt is like 34. He's about 30. Yeah, he's about 34 years old. He's been playing since 2011, but I do want to go on Gurriel because I think he's still got some gas left in the tank. He played more than Trey Mancini in the latter parts of the playoffs. Hit 242 in the regular season, 8 home runs, 53 RBIs. So the power isn't necessarily there as much as it was in the past. In the World Series, he hit 316. So there's that. 333 against the Yankees, 400 against the Seattle Mariners. So he's really good in the playoffs. Ooh, which begs the question, who does he go to?
I'm going to pick Chicago. I'm going to go Cubs.
Okay, so against the youth movement, Grain. So Sox is going to say that he's going to go to the Cubs.
He's 38 years old.
See, I would pick him to go to Detroit, but the problem is you got Miguel Cabrera.
Right.
And he's still playing like the horse that he is. And now they probably would move Torkelson to first base, hope for that, or I don't know if Torkelson plays third, but why would you want to have two old players in the same section?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's about a couple more minutes till Veterans Day. But yes, we will be live tomorrow, and happy early Veterans Day for the people that served our country. I definitely have a few friends who did. Oh God, because I'm not gonna have Abreu sign with Houston and then Gurriel does because he's really good in the playoffs. Trying to think of teams that need that extra mile in the playoffs, and that I'm gonna look at the standings just because I can, and he could be more of a DH factor. You know what? I think he's gonna sign with the San Francisco Giants.
Nice pick.
So that's mine. 2 more. We got Miguel Sano and Brandon Belt. Miguel Sano. It was a tough cookie to crack. Minnesota declined his option, so
I don't think he played that well for them last year.
He did not. He hasn't played well really in a few seasons. He hit 083 last year.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Well,
so he might have to take like a smaller deal than anticipated.
He was an all-star in 2017, hit 28 home runs that year.
You know what? I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. You know what I'm going to go out on a limb for?
What's that?
I'm going to say he signs with the Tampa Bay Rays. That's the
Okay.
type of hitter. Someone who, they could take on, hasn't really produced, and then boom, he does at least average. I'm going to go ahead and say he signs with the Rays.
I could see that, actually. That's a really good one. Trying to just think here. Did he play third or first for them last year?
He played first.
And he's 29. I'm going to go with San Francisco on this one, actually.
Okay. All right. So Sox goes San Francisco. And then one more. That's Brandon Belt.
And I think he stays put.
You think him and Sano in San Francisco?
Yeah, I do, actually, because I do. I'm sticking with him staying home.
Okay, so let me just see something real quick because
you can play Sano at third or first. You can play Belt in left or first.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to look here because I could have sworn something said. Let's see, Belt. Okay, because I was making sure that I didn't get something off. So you think he stays put? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he retires.
I like that. I think that might be a good call.
Odd prediction, but you know what? We're gonna go with it. All right.
All right.
So we got two more. Well, we got two in the second base round, quite short. Shots at Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. What's going on? Oh, he's got the Astros thing going. Unless obviously he's got the cheater thing going, because some people have the Astros thing. And it looks like an Astros thing, it's a cheater thing. Anyway, so you got second base. We got two people to go over. That's Gene Segura and Adam Frazier. Frazier can also play a little bit of outfield. We got the White Sox, we got Philly, and we got Seattle. Now, Segura has played in Seattle. He's also played with Philly. He hasn't played with the White Sox yet. And the White Sox, I forget who they hired as manager, some other dude. They want to get younger? That's my thing.
Segura, I think he's going to play with Philly.
I think he's going to stay in Philly.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did. Let's take a look at how Segura did. I might stay with you on that. So Segura in Philly actually did well. 277, 10 home runs, 33 ribbies. And then you take a look at his postseason stats. That's where it kind of reeks a little bit. The first two series, it was okay. 462 against the Braves. 200 against the St. Louis Cardinals. And then the last two series, against San Diego, 118. And then 143 against the Houston Astros. So I'm actually going to pick against. I'm not going to pick him going back to Philly, but I'll mark yours down as going back to Philly. This one's tough. This one's really tough. Do I really pick him going to Chicago? Let me look at their depth chart. Because why not? Chicago White Sox. Take a look at who plays second, probably. So Tim Anderson plays short. Larry Garcia, Yoma. Moncada's been such a lost cause for them.
Yeah.
Gavin Sheets, he's more of a first baseman and a right fielder. Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and say Segura to the White Sox.
Okay.
Then Adam Frazier. I feel like, I'm going to switch up a little bit. Or maybe I won't, because Frazier can play a lot of different positions. I'm going to have him going to the White Sox. I might change my Segura pick.
I had Frazier going to the White Sox.
Okay, so we'll definitely go with that. Just see some real quickly. So Yeah, Segura's going to be a couple million. His contract option was declined by the Phillies. I'm going to say, damn it, man, this is hard. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say, fuck it. He's going to go to the White Sox too.
Okay.
So there's that. Now we move into a better market, a deeper market, the shortstop market. Start with one, Trey Turner. Some possible destinations: Atlanta, Boston, Los Angeles Dodgers, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and Seattle. I think Trey Turner goes to Philadelphia. He joins his old buddy, Bryce Harper.
I think he stays in Los Angeles. He goes to plays for the Dodgers.
Okay. All right. So Sox has him going to the Dodgers. Here's your buddy, Xander Boagerts.
Staying home, baby. Staying home.
I'm going to pick against it.
No.
I think he would make a very good Atlanta Brave.
I agree with you on that. It hurts me to say. I can't. I don't know what I would do if he left. I don't know what I would do, Alex. I really don't.
So there's that. And then Sox has him staying with the Sox. Now, before we get to one of the more obvious ones, Dansby Swanson. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he goes to the Red Sox.
So we're swapping shortstop, huh?
Yes.
I'm gonna say Philadelphia. Why not?
Okay, Philadelphia. That makes sense. They can invest more in pitching. And then finally, Carlos Correa.
Yankees.
You think he's going to go to the Yankees?
Put it on the record.
Sox, if you're right, I have to congratulate you in some way, but I don't think you're going to be right this time. Philly seems like such a good place for him. I just don't think it's going to happen. Atlanta, no, it doesn't really fit there. Boston, no, they're not spending the money. Fuck it. He's going to go to the Dodgers.
Okay.
So there's that. Now we move to third base before we get into the outfield. A little tricky ones here. We already discussed Trey Turner. So there's two, you could mark off. Detroit and LA Dodgers are in for the third base market. Brandon Drury and Evan Longoria. I think Evan Longoria calls it quits.
Retires. Same.
So Sox and I say he's going to retire. And Brandon Drury, who had a good season last year for the Reds. And he could be used, I think, more than third base.
I can see the Dodgers signing a guy like that.
Okay, so we'll mark you down for the Dodgers along with Trey Turner. So, I mean, he could, if Max Muncy isn't playing well offensively, Drury does give you that offensive upside. I'm going to say Detroit. All right. So now we move into the outfield. Just some notes as well. Colorado and Chicago is in the White Sox. They need a lefty outfield bat. And here's where it gets even interesting. This is going to be a tough one to crack. But left field, there's a ton of guys. Well, at least about 6, 7. So there's Benintendi, there's Brantley, there's Pollock, there's Peralta, there's Profar, and there's Jock Peterson. I'm going to start with Benintendi, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say he stays a New York Yankee.
I agree.
Sox concurs.
It hurts me to say it, but I agree.
Hopefully he's healthy. Shout outs to LI. What's going on, LI? We're doing our predictions now, so definitely join us with our predictions. We're on the left field section. All right. So some other position, teams that need left field: Baltimore, Detroit, Minnesota, Seattle, and Texas. All right. Let's go to Jock Peterson. I want to say they could spend more on pitching, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he goes to the Texas Rangers.
I could see that. I'm going to say I could see him being good addition for a team like Seattle.
Okay. All right. See, my second thought was like maybe Colorado or Chicago, but like, you know what? That just seems like a Texas Rangers move. So you said Seattle. Okay. Right. All right. All right. Let's go with Michael Brantley. He's at the latter end of his career.
I think this might be I don't know. Will he retire?
Well, he's 35. He hit 288 last year, but only played in 64 games. And he missed the postseason. So,
Let's call it a retirement.
okay. So, Sox says he retires. I think he goes to Minnesota. Says, like, you know what? We got 1 year. Michael Brantley will now go to the Yankees. Yeah, because it's like 5 years too fucking late. That's what Cashman does.
Yeah.
Gonzalez, all these different guys, Josh Donaldson. Do you think Stanton would accept a deal to Seattle? Probably not. Listen, they're like, I would trade Torres to Seattle. I don't think you're moving Stanton. The only way it would make sense, Li, and I know you've been a big proponent of that, is if Judge doesn't stay. If he doesn't stay, if Rizzo doesn't stay, then you maybe start to unload some contracts. But no, I don't see that happening. So next up, David Peralta. I'm going between the White Sox and the Rockies. I'm going to choose the Rockies.
Well, I was going to choose Chicago as well. I don't think I just don't see it happening in Colorado with David Peralta, but I'm going to choose Chicago.
All right. Two more. We got AJ Pollock and we got Jurickson Profar. Profar was mostly an outfielder for the San Diego Padres last season. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Profar becomes a Chicago White Sox.
I say he goes to Texas.
You know, it is funny that he started his career in Texas.
Yeah.
That down and AJ Pollock. You know what? I'm battling between Seattle and Baltimore right now. I think they like the. I'm gonna go Seattle. I'm gonna go Seattle right now.
Pollock. I could see Pollock going to play for Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay, so a little twist, but we love the twist. All right, moving into center field. We got three candidates here. Center fielder, some teams looking for center field: LA, Miami, Chicago, and Boston. Chicago is in the Cubs. Start off with a not so obvious. Let's go with Kevin Kiermaier. Now, he is not a very good offensive bat, but he is a very good defensive bat. I'm going to say he goes to the Chicago Cubs.
I'm just going to say it. It feels like that's somebody the Sox would sign. I'm going to go Red Sox.
You know what it does, really?
Yeah.
Sox says the Sox. Let's go with Kevin Pillar. He was a Sox. I don't think he was a Dodger. He may have been. Could be also a guy that the Chicago Cubs signed. I'm gonna if he wasn't with Miami yet, I'm gonna say he goes to Miami. I feel like he was with Miami for a little bit. No, he wasn't. He's gonna go to Miami right now.
Pilar goes to the Giants.
Right. He was a Giant, but definitely plot twists. If Aaron Judge walks, AJ Pollock will be a Yankee. That would be a horrific downgrade. And with Brandon Nimmo, he could go back to the Mets. He might not go back to the Mets. I'm going to pick him going to LA.
I like the Mets there.
Okay. All right. Now here's the big one. We got two more before we break into pitching. And pitching is going to be the biggest one. And that's a good way to end off the show. Pitching. Not pitching yet. Right field. Aaron Judge.
San Francisco Giants.
Oh, God, where do I go here? Fuck, man.
That's tough.
You know what? I'm going to
That's
go
your
out on
boy.
a homer limb and say he stays a New York Yankee.
That's your boy. I knew you were going to do that.
Just I can't imagine him anywhere else, and I already kind of planted my seeds with the Rizzo thing.
Yeah.
So, Sox says San Francisco Giants. Now we'll go back to Sox's player DH, JD Martinez,
He's staying home.
staying home with the Red Sox. You know what? I'll pick that too.
Lock him
Right.
up.
So, starting pitching. It's going to be quite an interesting ride here. Here are a number of teams that are interested in starters. Atlanta, Baltimore, Boston, Chicago. That would be the White Sox, Colorado, Detroit, both Los Angeles teams, Kansas City, Milwaukee. Maybe not Milwaukee because they're selling. Definitely the Mets, Phillies, Pittsburgh, San Diego, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Texas, Toronto, and Washington. Let's start off with a bang. Let's start off with Justin Verlander.
Man, how many more years is he going to have good pitching in him? I think a team like San Diego goes and signs Verlander. I'm going to throw it out there.
And so Sox is San Diego. I think he stays home with Houston. All right. On Kershaw, we could X out because he already resigned. Noah Syndergaard.
That's interesting. I'm going to go with the Mets.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So Sox says the Mets in a plot twist. You know what? I'm gonna say he tries the West Coast again. You know, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm gonna go say Noah Syndergaard goes to Baltimore.
I like that.
Next up on the docket, Carlos Rodon. I think he goes to San Diego.
Texas.
That's another good one. Sox says Texas. Nathan Eovaldi. I say the Rays.
I was just going to say Tampa. We're on the same page there.
Right. Sox and I say Tampa. Jacob deGrom. I say Texas.
Philly.
Okay. That would be quite interesting. Atlanta also could be a player as well. Sean Manaea. Damn, this one's tough for me. Sean Manaea.
St. Louis.
Okay, St. Louis. That could be, yeah, him and Steven Matz. So Sox is St. Louis. Shit. I'm going to go out on a limb. He's going to go sign with Boston.
He no-hit them in 2018.
Yes, I remember that. Chris Bassett, he's going to go to Atlanta.
Oakland.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, another plot twist.
I like plot twist.
Andrew Heaney. He had a very good season for the Dodgers, I must say.
Stays home.
Stays home with the Dodgers, says Sox. He wouldn't cost that much, so I'm going to actually say, yeah, he signs back with the Dodgers. Next one, Taijuan Walker.
Toronto.
Didn't he pitch for Toronto?
Yes, he did.
Another plot twist. Toronto or Sox. I'll mark that down. Damn.
Guys
You know
go back
what?
to teams. It happens often. I mean, it doesn't happen often. It happens every year, though.
You'll get one of these right, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Baltimore. Even though Syndergaard's there, why not have a reunion? Actually, no, I'm going to reverse that because I have another starter in mind who will go to Baltimore. Let me go Colorado. I feel like it's going to be one of those not making sense moves. Michael Walker.
I really hope he stays. I'm going to put it out there.
Sox says Boston. Well, guess what? I'm going to say he goes to the Angels. I think
Nice.
that would be a fit.
I think so too.
Jamison Tyon, I think he's going to Baltimore.
Baltimore. I agree.
Sox. Baltimore. Last one, Mike Clevenger. I'm going to say Philly.
Atlanta.
Hey, Sox says Atlanta. All right, last but not least, relief pitchers. Arizona, Atlanta, Boston definitely, Colorado, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Philly, San Diego, Texas, and Toronto would all be interested. Start off with one, Kenley Jansen.
Anywhere but Boston.
You know, I really cannot imagine him in Boston, I must say.
I think San Diego.
You say San Diego?
Yeah.
So Sox says San Diego. I don't see him there. I'm going to go ahead. It's tough to imagine him back with. I wouldn't say Arizona either because they're really in this youth movement. He was with Philly, I believe.
You know what? I want to say Atlanta. Excuse me.
Okay. All right. So he goes back to Atlanta. I'm going to go ahead and say San Diego. So you steal yours.
Okay.
Andrew Chafin. Also, I forgot to add the New York Mets because they definitely need some bullpen adjustments. I'm going to say Chafin is perfect for the Mets.
I could see that. You know what? I'm going to go Chafin to the Padres.
Okay. He would be good for the Red Sox.
I don't know about that. I'm not a fan of Chafin, man.
Really?
I don't really like him. I haven't since he pitched in Arizona.
All right. Michael Fulmer. Let me look how he did with Minnesota because that might determine how I go with this. He got closer. You know, he's been a closer before, so. So last year, 3.39 ERA, 5-6, total of only 3 saves.
Miami.
Okay. Sox says Miami. I'm going to go out and say Atlanta. All right. Corey Knebel. I'm going to say Texas.
Seattle.
Sox says Seattle. Will Smith, the left-hander.
Atlanta.
Okay. Sox says Atlanta. I'm going to go ahead and say Boston. Adam Ottavino, I say Kansas City.
Ottavino. That's interesting. That's tough for me. I think. Did he play for Colorado?
That was his second team. That was who he earned his stripes with.
Right. Let's go with. That's tough. That one's really stumping me here. Adam Ottavino. I think he's going to play in Seattle.
Okay. All right, we got 3 more to go. All former Yankees. Chad Green. I'm going to say San Diego. I have a weird hunch.
I had a weird hunch about the Dodgers.
So, well, it wouldn't be the first former Yankee reliever to go out to the West. David Robertson.
Oakland.
Another plot twist from Sox. I'm going to say it. No, I'm not going to say Atlanta because I got them Fulmer already. Let me say Minnesota. And then Tommy Kahnle to wrap it up.
Cincinnati.
That's another plot twist. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to say Philly. For some reason, a lot of Yankee relievers find their way there. But that will do it for the predictions. That will do it for the Dead Red podcast. Next week, we'll be back calling the Titans-Packers Thursday night football game. Hopefully, it's more competitive than the one I didn't see it, but the one that just happened tonight. Final score in that game, I got to take a look, is 25-15.
Ended up being a one-score game there with about 5 minutes left. Atlanta had a chance to tie it, but they didn't.
But they're stupid. Anyway, Sox, final thoughts.
Hey, that was a good one, man. The free agency is always a good time of year, especially as my team missed the playoffs. We're looking forward to it, especially with all the Xander Boagerts stuff. That was a full show Jets mess.
For Dead Red, we usually go like 2 hours.
Yeah. So do you guys go longer on the other one?
We go like 3 to 4.
Okay. Yeah, that's a hell of a time. Yeah. So it was fun, man. I can't wait for next week. Do the game and go Giants. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, sir. So shout out to everybody in the chat who supported. Tomorrow, Luca, Donald, and maybe even Angry John will be calling the Knicks game. Going to be a ton of Piston fans in chat because they represent really well on YouTube. I don't know why their content creators don't really do games, but the team isn't very good, but maybe they're better than the Knicks. I got to take a look. Anyway, so Luca and Donald will be back definitely tomorrow, 7:30 for the Pistons game against the Knicks. Saturday will be the Big Blue in the Bronx podcast previewing. What was I going to say? Previewing the Texans game. Sunday is nothing. Monday's Boys in the Big Apple. Okay, Arizona, who is winning the election there? Well, he lives in California, to be fair.
It's the Hobbs. It's really close. The governor election's like 50.
Yeah, it's I don't get often into politics, but I'm just going to state it, even though we're not stating like who are, who we voted for, whatever. It's still Hobbs and Mark Kelly.
Yeah.
For governor and senator. But
yeah.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when the live stream pops for video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Sub up to me, Sox, Big Beat Reactions, all the channels in the description. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool and have a good night.